So first question, this is actually one from me, and this is something that's quite dear to my heart. So here at the Microsoft Reactor, we run a number of events, and recently we've been running some open source boot camps where we focus on getting folks who are new to open source upskilled in Git, GitHub, open source, and particularly how to collaborate, how to work together to make contributions to projects. And that applies either open source or in the workplace. So one example we had recently is we had a 12-year-old come join us, and the team he was working with very kindly, they dove right in and they explained concepts. They supported his learning. So they got him up to speed really, really quickly. So I guess an open question for all of you really about this is, how do you see the value of open source contributions, particularly around collaboration as well, that can help folks find jobs? So the skill of knowing how to collaborate on open source projects, how can that help folks find jobs? You know, we are at a time where there's been a lot of layoffs throughout the industry. There's a lot of people who are looking for work. So how can they put themselves ahead of the game by collaborating on open source projects?
Yeah, I'll take this one. I actually started out with a quick story. I actually owe my career at Microsoft to a very similar event that we had on my college campus, like a hackathon, like a weekend long, kind of get mentors and people experienced or new with coding together. And so I had never really touched any sort of coding, any sort of, like, I was very passionate about technology. But over the course of a weekend, I had some like mentors who are in the space sit down with me, teach me, okay, this is how you get started. This is the compiler. This is how you can start to write some of your first programs. And so a lot of the like reference material I was looking at and learning from, specifically with iOS development with Objective-C, was GitHub repos and open source projects and all of that. So over the course of a weekend, I not only learned the technical side, which is here's how you like reference existing open source projects and all of that, but also here's how you create a GitHub repo and like contribute to that. And I even have those original repos still on my public GitHub account. And but with that, it also came, how do you pitch your idea and pitch that product idea? And I learned a lot about it's not always about the most technologically advanced code that you can write, but how can you actually pitch that to either a panel of judges or nowadays in the workplace, customers. And so it actually worked its way out where we ended up getting first place, not because we had the most technologically advanced project and the most lines of code, but we told the best story and has solved the biggest problem. So yeah, looking ahead now, kind of to you're asking about today, how can this help us kind of find opportunities and work, which is not only can you learn a lot and like get to experience in the industry, but very often like your GitHub account and like your GitHub history can be your resume. You can point to, here's my contribution history, not just number of commits, and because it's not about how often or how much, but here's the experiences that I've had, like how I've most of all made impact, like impacted open source projects, impacted customers. Here's what I learned from that. And so, yeah, I use my GitHub profile all the time to show here's these few blocks or the Dapper days, and here's more recently it's some other projects, and all the way back in like 2010 is like that first project, that first commit. So yeah, the GitHub profile and kind of all that experience has really changed my life. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I definitely echo what was said from a interview or hiring manager's perspective, which is, you know, oftentimes these days I will go into an interview with someone and I don't need to ask any of the coding questions or any of the, you know, the technical questions, because I can see it in the GitHub. I can see it in the contribution. So I just second what was said.
Awesome. Thank you. Jake, any comments?
Yeah, fix bugs, I guess. I don't know. the old standard, get into the open source world, right? You know, find some issues, maybe contribute that way. But you know, I guess there's so many different ways. Obviously, having your own GitHub repo in which you work with other folks and collaborate on different projects is great, and the ability for you to be able to highlight that work that you've done, but also just consuming things from other people's repos and jamming on that, maybe working on it, finding a new way to take that in a different direction, and just find a project in which you're attaching to. I sort of joke about the bugs thing because, you know, that was kind of the old standard, how to get into open source stuff. But that is a way, even like documentation, like helping to clear up some of the, you know, some of the crusty areas where people don't have a good understanding, or, you know, contribute to the core.js, the core.js project or something along those lines. But yeah, I think there's a lot of that opportunity. You know, from a HashiCorp side of things, we have a lot of public repositories for like Terraform modules. If if you're kind of new to that and you want to jam on that and publish those type of things, you can get some fame in that area as well, just specific to our side of things. But sort of just along the same lines that everybody else has, just get your code out there, publish it somewhere so people can see it, and then have that history of of working on things, hopefully iterating and getting better over time.
So again, is that awareness? Is that doing it in public? People can see you. Yeah. Takuto, any thoughts?
Yeah, +1 to everyone's thoughts. I mean, open source is integral part of for the AI for sure. Like you can't do AI without open source. So there's going to be a tons of opportunities, job opportunities if you're really strong at open source technologies. Things like PyTorch, TensorFlow, Onyx Runtime. Those open source frameworks are out there, for past couple of years. So there's going to be a lot of given the excitement we have around ChatGPT and generative AI, there's going to be for sure that you have to be equipped with the the open source technology like PyTorch to build your own models with your own data. So for sure, there's going to be a tons of opportunities to find your jobs if you're very strong at open source technology in the AI space for sure.
Yeah, so it's not just about contributing, but also just demonstrating your strength in using those particular products as well that can help you.